Good morning to one and all. This is Shobha, Phyllis PGT from KGBB Sitanagar. I would like to explain about the concept of reflection and refraction. So, first of all, what is meant by reflection? So, before going to reflection, we have to learn some terms related to it. So, what are those means? Can we see any objects in a dark room? No, we can't see any objects in a dark room. Suppose whenever the light enters into the dark room, then we are able to see the objects. So how is it possible? Means whenever the light enters into that object or fall onto that object reflects that light. So that reflected light reaches our eye. So like that we have to see the objects. We are able to see the objects whenever the light enters into that room. So this is nothing but this is one of the property of light. So what are those properties of light means? Reflection. This is one of the property of light. Due to reflection, we are able to see the objects in a dark room. So then what is meant by reflection? So first of all, we have to learn what is light ray. Light ray means the narrow path travelled by the light is known as light ray. So what is light ray means? The narrow path travelled by the light is known as light ray. Here, the energy is transferred from one place to another place, one point to another point. So that is nothing but path of the light. So the narrow path travelled by the light is known as light ray. So this is nothing but light ray. So, suppose when we switch on the torch, we are able to see the beam of light. So, what is beam of light? Beam of light means the collection of light rays. This is one of the light ray, and this is another light ray, and this is another light ray. So, these are the collection of light rays. Or the number of light rays is nothing but beam of light. So here, these collection of light rays which are parallel to each other. These collection of light rays which are parallel to each other, this is known as parallel beam of light. So parallel beam of light. So here the narrow path followed by the light is known here. So the light ray which is incident on the surface of the mirror is known as incident ray, and the light ray which is returned back into the same medium but in opposite direction, this light ray is known as reflected ray. Reflected ray. So let us draw a normal on the surface of the mirror. This is the normal. So here A O be the incident ray and O B be the reflected ray and O N be the normal. So here the light ray which is incident on the surface of the mirror, again that light ray reflected back. Return back is nothing but reflected back. So this phenomenon is known as reflection. So here, so what is meant by reflection means, whenever the light ray strikes on the surface of the mirror, again that light ray reflected back in a same medium but in opposite direction. This phenomenon is known as reflection. Okay, next. Here the incident ray make an angle made by the normal to the surface, the angle. So here the angle made by the incident ray with the normal to the surface is known as angle of incidence. It is represented by the letter I. Again, the angle made by the reflected ray with the normal to the surface is known as angle of reflection. This is represented by the letter R. So here what is angle of incidence means? The angle made by the incident ray with the normal to the surface, that is nothing but incident angle, that is represented by the letter I. And the angle made by the reflected ray with the normal to the surface is known as angle of reflection. So that is nothing but R. So here the angle made by the incident ray with the surface is known as glancing angle of incidence. It is represented by the letter G suffix I. And the angle made by the reflected ray with the surface is known as glancing angle of reflection. It is represented by the letter G suffix R. Again, we have to extend the incident ray. So this is incident ray. We have to extend the incident ray. So here the angle between reflected ray to extended incident ray, that is nothing but angle of deviation. It is represented normal and the reflected ray all are in the same plane. So this is the first law of reflection. So what is first law of reflection means? Incident ray, reflected ray, normal all are in the same plane. So that is the first law of reflection. Next one is second law of reflection. So what is the second law of reflection means? Here, see once the angle of incidence must be equal to angle of reflection. So this is the first law, second law of reflection. So here the angle of incidence must be equal to angle of reflection when a reflection takes place on a smooth surfaces. So here, what is the angle of incidence? I. So angle I is equals to angle R. So this is the second law of reflection. Suppose if the incident angle is 45 degrees, then the reflected ray must be 45 degrees. So these are the two laws of reflections. Suppose if we know the angle of incidence, how can we calculate the angle of deviation? And how can we calculate the glancing angle of incidence and in the same way glancing angle of reflection? These are the objective type questions. Then we are going to write the exams, MSET, NEET, etc. So here, suppose the angle of incidence is 45 degrees. Then what is the angle of deviation? According to laws of reflection, angle of incidence must be equal to angle of reflection. So angle R is also 45 degrees. So here the angle is 90 degrees. And this is 180 degrees. Now we want to calculate the angle of deviation. That is nothing but the angle between the reflected ray to extended incident ray. So here the angle is 90. This angle is 180. So the deviation angle is 180 degrees minus 90 degrees. That is nothing but 90 degrees. So then the deviation angle is 90 degrees. Like this we have to calculate the angle of deviation whenever we know the angle of incidence. So here in the same way glancing angle of incidence also. Here normal to surface is 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Then the angle of incidence is 45 degrees. So this is 90 minus 45. 90 minus 45 is nothing but 45. So that is glancing angle of incidence. hollow surface. So, whenever the bulged surface is reflected and the hollow surface is polished, then it is said to be convex mirror. Here, what is convex mirror means? The bulged surface is reflected surface and the hollow surface is polished. So here, what is convex mirror? This is the bulged surface and this is the hollow surface. Hollow surface is polished. So then it is said to be convex mirror. And what about concave mirror? So here, the hollow surface is reflected and the bulged surface is polished. Concave mirror means here the hollow surface is reflected surface and the bulged surface is polished. Then it is said to be concave mirror. So here, what is convex mirror and what is concave mirror means? Here, the bulged surface is reflected surface and the hollow surface is polished. Then it is said to be convex mirror, and the hollow surface is reflected and the bulged surface is polished. Then it is said to be concave mirror. So what are the reflection at the concave mirror and convex mirror? So the terms related to spherical mirror. So what are the terms related to spherical mirror means? Consider a concave mirror. Consider a concave mirror. So this is the midpoint of the mirror. The midpoint of the mirror is known as pole. And this is a part of sphere. So this is a part of sphere. The geometric center of the sphere is known as center of curvature. The geometric center of the sphere is known as center of curvature. The imaginary line passing through the pole and the center of curvature is known as principal axis. Principal axis. So the midpoint of the mirror is known as pole and the geometric center of the sphere is known as center of curvature, and the imaginary line joining the pole and the center of curvature is known as principal axis. So here the light rays are incident on the concave mirror. These are the incident rays. So whenever the light ray incident on the concave mirror, then it will get a reflection. It will get a reflection. So again, these all light rays are reflected. So these are the incident rays. Whenever the incident ray strikes on the surface of the concave mirror, then what will happen? It gets The reflected rays are meet at one point on the principal axis, that is nothing but principal focus. And the distance between pole to center of curvature is known as radius of curvature. Radius of curvature. And the distance between pole to principal focus, this distance is nothing but focal length. So, what are the terms related to spherical mirror means? So, the center part of the mirror is known as pole. It is represented by the letter P. And it is a part of sphere. The geometric center of the sphere is known as center of curvature. It is represented by the letter C. And all the reflected rays are meet at one point, that is nothing but principal focus. At which point on the principal axis all the reflected rays are meet. So that is nothing but focus. Principal focus. It is represented by the letter capital F. And the distance between pole to center of curvature is known as the radius of curvature. That is represented by the letter R. So, radius of curvature R. And the distance between pole to focus is known as focal length. It is represented by the letter small f. Small f. These are the terms related to spherical mirror. So the relation between f and r. So here what is f and what is r? F means focal length and r means radius of curvature. So let us take a concave mirror. Concave mirror. And this is the principal axis. So the midpoint of the mirror is known as pole. So here, whenever the light ray is incident on the mirror, then it gets reflection. So this ray is parallel to the principal axis. So the reflected ray must be at the focus. The reflected ray must pass through the focus. So this is OP be the incident ray. And PF be the reflected ray. So see once here, this is the surface of the mirror. And what is this? This is the normal. This ray is normal. This is nothing but center of curvature. here tan theta reference to theta means theta is equals to, this is the first equation and this is the second equation. From first equation, tan theta reference to theta means theta is equals to p dash by r. From equation 2, tan 2 theta reference to 2 theta. So 2 theta is equals to p dash by f. p dash by f. So here 2 theta, 2 into, in place of theta I have to substitute p dash by r is equals to p dash by f. p dash get cancelled, then 2 by r is equals to 1 by. So here 2 by r is equals to 1 by f means f is equals to r by 2. So from this what we have to observe means the focal length is half of the radius of the curvature. So this is the relation between small f and r, that is nothing but focal length and radius of curvature. Refraction. Next concept is refraction. So what is refraction? Consider a bowl of water and the bowl is transparent. When we keep a stick or a pencil, then what we have to observe? So at the surface, the separation of the medium means whenever the pencil moves from air to water, at the separation we have to observe some of the bending property. So how is it possible? How the stick or pencil or anything bends at the separation of the medium? Means whenever the light ray passes from one medium to another medium, at the separation of the medium, the wavelengths are changes. Due to this wavelengths, the speed of the light is also varies. So that's why due to that change in speeds, the light ray bends. So this phenomenon is known as refraction. So what is meant by refraction means? In case of reflection, we require only single medium, one medium. But in case of refraction, we require two medias. So what is meant by refraction means? The definition of the refraction. Consider this is the separation of the medium. So this is air medium and this is water medium or glass or alcohol or anyone. So here whenever the light ray passes, this is air medium, that is nothing but medium 1. This is nothing but medium 2. So whenever the light ray passes from one medium to another medium, at the separation of the medium, the light ray bends. ये वो be the incident ray and वो be the refracted ray. So here, whenever the light ray travels from rarer medium to denser medium, after refraction, the refracted ray bends towards the normal, and whenever the light ray travels from denser medium to rarer medium, then the refracted ray moves away from the normal. If the refracted ray is 90 degrees, suppose for example, incident ray makes an angle is 90 degrees, then there is no refraction. So then there is no refraction. So next one is laws of refraction. Sorry children, I want to explain more about refraction and laws of refraction and total external reflection, but I didn't have any time to explain. So if you have any doubts, ask me in a comment section. I will clarify your doubts. And I feel very happy to teach in this way online classes. So our higher officials give me this opportunity. I am very thankful to those higher officials who are giving to me this opportunity. Thank you one and all.
Ma'am, are you able to hear?
Sir.
Yeah. So actually, there is a question. Why students get confused between reflection and refraction?
Why
Get confusion between reflection and refraction. Most of the students write their answers instead of reflection, they mention refraction. So, what is the common error the students are making? Why it is happening so?
So reflection means, children, the reflection means whenever the light ray strikes on the surface of the mirror means it is a reflected surface. So that's why it gets reflection. So whenever the refraction means whenever the light ray passes from one medium to another medium. Here, the medium is transparent medium. So, half of small part is reflected and most of the part is refracted.
Yeah, nice, ma'am. There is another question in the discussion that the reflection or the refraction, is it depend upon the density of the material or the refractive index of the material?
Yes, it depends upon refractive index and the density of the material also. Yeah, already I explained that the speed of the medium is changes. So that's why at which the speed of light in air is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. Compared to water and glass, it is more. So that's why it is said to be rarer medium. And water and glass compared to air, these are denser mediums. Why? Because the speed is reduces compared to air. So optically it is a denser medium and optically that is a rarer medium. So it depends upon refractive indices also. Refractive index means the ratio between the change of speed medium. The speed changes now one medium to another medium. So the ratio between the velocities or the speed in a vacuum to medium. So that's why each medium has a refractive index. Why? Because the speeds are changes.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. There is another question from Srikakulam district. Can you give any? There is a question from Srikakulam district. A student is asking, can you give any example for total internal reflection?
Sir, okay, yeah. Sir. Total internal reflection is nothing but whenever the light ray travels from one medium to another medium, the light ray bends. We know this. In case of total internal reflection, the light ray must pass from denser medium to rarer medium. So here we have to increase the angle of incidence. Then the refracted angles are varies. Suppose if the refracted angle is 90 degrees, then that angle of incidence is known as critical angle. After that, we have to increase the angle of incidence. Then it gets total internal reflection. So, how the diamonds are appearing, how the stars are, next how the mirages are formed, and in optical fiber, the total internal reflection to the total internal reflection, optical fibers are pulsed. We have to use optical fibers with microscope. So these are the applications of total internal reflection.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. There is another question. I think district is not mentioned. Is there any relation between critical angle and total internal reflection?
So, sir, there is a relation between critical angle and refractive index. That is nothing but mu is equals to 1 by sin c. C is equals to sin inverse of 1 by u.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Very nice explanation, Subhashini Reddy garu. Very nicely you have explained the entire lesson. Lot of energy with you. And entire Andhra Pradesh students are watching your lesson and felt so happy. Thank you very much. And we'll go for the next lesson. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
This session.
Good afternoon, students. Myself, Subhashini, working as a zoology lecturer in Palmadi Model School, Anantapur district. So today I am going to explain a lesson from zoology subject. First of all, I'll tell you what is the syllabus in the second year zoology. There are actually 8 units in the syllabus, but because of this COVID-19, 30% syllabus is reduced. In the 30% syllabus, the first lesson from the first unit is deleted. So now I am going to start the second lesson of first unit. So actually the first 5 units deals with the human anatomy and physiology. So anatomy and physiology are the branches of science. Deals with, first of all I'll tell you the anatomy is a branch of science that deals with the structure of internal organs and organ systems. And physiology is also a branch of science that deals with functioning of the different organs and organ systems. So here in each topic means here we are discussing different systems of human beings, which you have already learned learnt in your 10th class. First of all, we are discussing the structure of each and every system and then functioning of each and every system. So in the first unit, unit 1B. In the first unit, there are 2 lessons, 1A and 1B. So 1A is deleted. So 1B, breathing and exchange of gases. So breathing and exchange of gases are the process which comes under respiration. What is respiration? So respiration is a process where breakdown or oxidation of food molecules
మీ లెసన్ అయిపోయింది నెక్స్ట్ లెసన్ స్టార్ట్ అయింది
all the living organisms need. What are those 9 cartilages means? First one is cricoid, second one thyroid, cricoid and epiglottis. These 3 are unpaired cartilages. There are 3 more cartilages which are paired cartilages. What are those 3 cartilages means? Corniculate, cuneiform and arytenoid. These 3 are paired cartilages. That means totally 3 unpaired and 3 paired means 6. So 6 plus 3, totally 9 cartilages are present in the wall of larynx. Here this epiglottis you have already learnt in 10th class. So epiglottis is a flap-like cartilaginous structure which can closes the glottis and prevents the entry of food into trachea or windpipe. So So epiglottis is a cartilaginous flap-like structure which can close the glottis during the entry of food, during the entry of air into the windpipe, and it also prevents the entry of food into windpipe or trachea. And there are yellow elastic fibers which are called as vocal cords. Yellow elastic fibers which are called as vocal cords or vocal folds, which are present between the thyroid and arytenoid cartilages. They can produce sound. They can produce sound. Next to, in the mid-thoracic cavity, the thyroid cartilage forms a prominence, a laryngeal prominence, which is called as Adam's apple. Adam's apple, which will be there here. We can observe it in, which is prominent in males. Next to, when it comes to vocal cords, in males, vocal cords are thicker, longer, and produce low pitch voice, whereas in females and children, vocal cords are shorter and produce high pitch voice. That is about larynx or sound box. Next to trachea. So next part of the human respiratory system is trachea. You can observe this trachea in the respiratory system diagram. So this is a human respiratory system. Here you can observe few organs of respiratory system, that is epiglottis. Epiglottis is a flap-like structure which can close the larynx or which can close the glottis and prevents entry of food particles into the trachea windpipe. And this is the larynx. Larynx or sound box. And the next part of the respiratory system is trachea. So this is trachea. Trachea or windpipe. Trachea or windpipe, which is a long tube, enters into mid-thoracic cavity or enters into mid-thoracic cavity. The wall of trachea is supported by C-shaped rings. So these are the C-shaped cartilaginous rings which supports the wall of trachea, and they keep the trachea always open and prevents the collapse. Why these are releases energy. So generally all the living organisms need energy to carry out different metabolic activities. So this energy comes from breakdown of organic macromolecules like amino acids, fatty acids, glucose, etc. So while breakdown of these organic macromolecules, carbon dioxide will be released by utilizing oxygen. So all these processes or all these reactions which are going to take place will be studied under this lesson, that is respiration. So respiration, in the respiratory system or in this lesson, there are breathing and exchange of gases. First of all, breathing. So what is the definition for breathing? Means during the process of respiration, air will be inhaled into the body and inhaled into the lungs and exhaled out of the lungs. So that is called as breathing. And exchange of gases. That inhaled air which consists of oxygen will be exchanged with the carbon dioxide. So those topics will be discussed in the later on, in the later topics. First of all, this respiration also two types, external respiration and internal respiration. So external respiration, which includes this breathing process, that means inhalation of air and exhalation of air, is referred as external respiration. And the internal respiration, which is the actual process of respiration taking place in the tissues or cells of the tissues, where the actual breakdown of these organic macromolecules takes place and releases energy, which is also called as cellular respiration. This released energy will be stored in the form of ATP molecules, and that ATP molecules are in turn stored in mitochondria. You all know very well about this mitochondria, which are also known as powerhouses of the cell. Again, next, in the actually what I said, respiration process takes place in the presence of oxygen. But sometimes in some organisms, this process also takes place without oxygen. So based on the presence or absence or influence of oxygen, respiration process can be studied under two headings. First one is anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration, which does not involve oxygen. So in the anaerobic process of respiration, glucose molecule C6H12O6, glucose molecule in the absence of oxygen or no oxygen broken down and forms into carbon dioxide plus ethanol. Ethanol and releases only 2 ATP molecules. So in this reaction only 2 ATP molecules will be released. So this type of anaerobic respiration takes place in yeast and bacteria. Yeast and bacteria. This type of anaerobic respiration also takes place in the muscles of vertebrates, where the same glucose molecule broken down without oxygen and forms into a special compound which is called as lactic acid, 2C3O6. This is lactic acid. Here also only 2 ATP molecules will be released. Means respiration without oxygen releases less amount of energy. And this anaerobic respiration, which is taking place in yeast and bacteria, is also called as fermentation. And the second reaction is, or the second type of respiration is aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, in which the same glucose molecule broken down in the presence of oxygen. So C6H12O6 plus H2O plus 6O2. That means here oxygen is involved and gives rise to 6CO2 plus 12H2O plus 36 ATP molecules. 36 ATP molecules. That means in the process of respiration, if oxygen is involved, more amount of energy will be released. So that released energy also stored in the form of ATP. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. So this is about types of respiration. Anaerobic respiration, which takes place without oxygen and releases only 2 ATP molecules, and aerobic respiration, which takes place in the presence of oxygen and releases 36 ATP molecules along with some amount of water and carbon dioxide. Next topic, respiratory organs. Respiratory organs. Respiratory organs. So there are different organisms in the animal kingdom which have different types of respiratory organs, have different modes of respiratory or different modes of respiration process. So there are lower organisms and highly developed organisms are present in the animal kingdom. When it comes to lower organisms like invertebrates like protozoans, sponges, and cnidarians and platyhelminthes, which do not have specialized respiratory organs, hence the exchange of gases or respiratory process taking place through a simple diffusion by entire body. Here in lower invertebrates like protozoans, cnidarians, platyhelminths like flatworms, there are no specialized respiratory organs, hence this exchange of gases takes place by simple diffusion through entire body surface. Next, when it comes to annelids, so annelids also do not develop specialized respiratory organs, but the body of or the skin of annelids is always moist, hence this moist surface enables exchange of gases. Next, when it comes to arthropods, which develop specialized respiratory organs. We have studied about the cockroach, where tracheal respiration is there, and so in insects, the tracheal respiration or tracheal respiratory organs are there, and in arachnids, example spiders and scorpions, which have book lungs as respiratory organs because they are terrestrial arthropods. Hence, book lungs are the respiratory organs, whereas in aquatic arthropods like lemurus, they have book gills or cnidia are the respiratory organs of aquatic arthropods. Next, when it comes to molluscans also, cnidia are the respiratory organs. And in echinoderms, there are different types of respiratory organs, respiratory tree, papillae, or the different respiratory organs present in the echinoderms. When it comes to vertebrates, in vertebrates, fishes. The first class of vertebrates are fishes. Fishes are completely aquatic organisms, hence gills are the respiratory organs of fishes. Next, when it comes to second class of vertebrates, that is amphibia. Amphibia can survive both on land and also in water. When they are on land, they can respire through lungs or pulmonary sacs. When they are in water, they can respire through their skin. That is also called as cutaneous respiration. Next, when it comes to reptiles, birds and mammals, most of the life they lead on land. That means they are most of them are terrestrial, adapted to terrestrial type of living. So, lungs or pulmonary sacs are the respiratory organs. So next, in this lesson, we are going to discuss the human respiratory system. Human respiratory system. Human respiratory system, that is anatomy of human respiratory system. Human respiratory system consists of different parts or different organs. The first part of the human respiratory system are external nostrils. First part of the human respiratory system are external nostrils or external nares. There are a pair of external nostrils which are present above the upper lip. So these external nostrils leads into nasal cavity or nasal chambers. So the next part of the human respiratory system are nasal chambers. Nasal chambers. So external nostrils leads into nasal chambers. this nasal chamber which is present above the palate, and nasal chambers are separated by the nasal septum into two chambers. Nasal chamber, each nasal chamber can be divided into three parts. The first part of the nasal chambers is vestibular part. Which consists of hair and sebaceous glands. Vestibular part of the nasal chambers consists of hair and sebaceous glands, which filter the dust particles which enters into the body. Next to second part of the nasal chambers is respiratory part. So respiratory part of the nasal chamber involved in the brings the inhaled air to the body temperature. It brings the inhaled air to the body temperature, and in this part there are three bony twisted plates which are called as concave or turbinals. In the respiratory part, there are three twisted bony plates which are called as concave or turbinals. And third part of this is important for 2 marks, concave or turbinals. Next, third part of the nasal chambers is olfactory part. Which is lined by olfactory epithelium. Olfaction means sense of smell. So this olfactory part of the nasal chambers can find or identify different types of smells. Next part of the human respiratory system is nasopharynx. Nasal chambers leads into nasopharynx through a pair of internal nostrils. These internal nostrils are present above the soft palate. Nasopharynx is a common passage for food and air. So nasopharynx next opens into oropharynx, which in turn leads into trachea through a glottis of larynx. So here this is a nasopharynx will be below the internal nostrils, which leads into oropharynx through, and this oropharynx leads into trachea through glottis of larynx. What is the glottis of larynx? I will explain in the next topic. So next part of the respiratory system is larynx. So larynx, which is also called as voice box or sound box, because larynx can produce sound. Larynx is a cartilaginous box which can produce sound. Hence, this is also called as voice box or sound box. The wall of the larynx is supported by 9 cartilages. Walls of the larynx or voice box supported by 9 cartilages. What are those 9 cartilages means? First one is cricoid. Second one First one, thyroid, cricoid, and epiglottis. Epiglottis. These three are unpaired cartilages. Unpaired cartilages. There are three more cartilages which are paired cartilages. What are those three cartilages means? Corniculate, cuneiform, and arytenoid. Arytenoid. These three are paired cartilages. That means totally 3 unpaired and 3 paired means 6. So 6 plus 3, totally 9 cartilages are present in the wall of larynx. Here this epiglottis you have already learnt in 10th class. So epiglottis is a flap-like cartilaginous structure which can closes the glottis and prevents the entry of food into trachea or windpipe. So epiglottis is a cartilaginous flap-like structure which can close the glottis during the entry of food, during the entry of air into the windpipe, and it also prevents the entry of food into windpipe or trachea. And there are yellow elastic fibers which are called as vocal cords. Yellow elastic fibers which are called as vocal cords or vocal folds which are present between the thyroid and arytenoid cartilages. They can produce sound. Next, in the mid-thoracic cavity, the thyroid cartilage forms a prominence, laryngeal prominence, which is called as Adam's apple. Adam's apple, which will be there here. We can observe it in which is prominent in males. Next, when it comes to vocal cords, in males, vocal cords are thicker, longer, and produce low pitch voice, whereas in females and children, vocal cords are shorter and produce high pitch voice. That is about larynx or sound box. Next, trachea. So next part of the human respiratory system is trachea. You can observe this trachea in the respiratory system diagram. So this is a human respiratory system. Here you can observe few organs of respiratory system, that is epiglottis. Epiglottis is a flap-like structure which can close the larynx or which can close the glottis and prevents entry of food particles into the trachea windpipe. And this is the larynx. Larynx or sound box. And the next part of the respiratory system is trachea. So this is trachea. Trachea or windpipe. Trachea or windpipe, which is a long tube, enters into mid-thoracic cavity The wall of trachea is supported by C-shaped rings. So these are the C-shaped cartilaginous rings which supports the wall of trachea, and they keep the trachea always open and prevents the collapse. Why these are called as C-shaped rings means they look like C because they are incomplete rings. They are incomplete on dorsal side. Hence they look like C-shaped. Hence they are called as C-shaped rings which protects the wall of trachea and prevents collapsing of trachea. Next, the inner wall of the trachea is lined by pseudostratified ciliated epithelium. Inner wall of trachea is lined by pseudostratified ciliated epithelium. Next part of the human respiratory system are bronchi and bronchioles. Bronchi and bronchioles. So when this trachea enters into enters up to mid-thoracic cavity, at the region of fifth thoracic vertebrae, it divides into two branches. They are called as primary bronchi. So these two primary bronchi enters into respective lungs. Again, after entering into the lung, this primary bronchi divides into secondary bronchi. Secondary bronchi divides into tertiary bronchi. Bronchi plural, bronchus singular. So trachea divides into primary, secondary and tertiary bronchi. Again these bronchi, that means tertiary bronchi, again divides and redivides into primary, secondary, tertiary, terminal and respiratory bronchioles. Understand? So first of all, trachea divides into primary bronchi, which divides into secondary bronchi and which divides into tertiary bronchi. So this tertiary bronchi again dividing and redividing into primary, secondary, tertiary, terminal and respiratory bronchioles. These respiratory bronchioles finally opens into alveolar ducts, cluster of alveolar ducts, and these alveolar ducts finally opens into alveoli. Here bronchi and initial bronchioles are also supported by the C-shaped cartilaginous rings. This total structure, that means bronchi and bronchioles, this network of bronchi and bronchioles appears like an inverted tree, which is called as pulmonary tree. If you invert this chart, you can see this as a stem and these are like branches. So this total network of bronchi and bronchioles is called as pulmonary tree. Next part of the human respiratory system is lungs. There are a pair of lungs in human beings which occupies the major volume of thoracic cavity or major space of thoracic cavity. So there are a pair of lungs which are present in the thoracic cavity and occupies the maximum space of the thoracic cavity. This next to each lung is lined by double layer of pleura or double layer of pleural membranes. So this is one layer and this is another layer. There are two layers, two pleural membranes. In between these two pleural membranes, there is a pleural fluid. This pleural fluid reduces the friction on surface of the lungs. Pleural fluid reduces the friction on surface of the lungs. Next to this is the external pleural membrane and this is the internal pleural membrane. The external pleural membrane is in close contact with the thoracic cavity. Whereas the inner pleural membrane is close contact with the surface of the lung. Next so all these the respiratory parts or respiratory organs of the human respiratory system can be divided into two parts. Can be divided or classified into two parts. One is conducting part and another one is respiratory part. Conducting part of the respiratory system consists of the organs starting from external nostrils to terminal bronchioles. Conducting part of the respiratory system consists of the organs which starts from external nostrils to bronchioles. That means external nostrils, nasal chambers, internal nostrils, nasopharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi and bronchioles. All these comes under conducting part of the respiratory system. What is the function of this conducting part means? This conducting part takes the air from the external atmosphere and transports to the alveoli. In this transport process, these organs filter the air from foreign particles, humidifies the air and brings the air to body temperature. And also brings the temperature to body temperature. And the respiratory part of the respiratory system, which includes alveoli, where the actual process of gaseous exchange takes place. Next the two lungs are, already I said that two lungs are present in the thoracic cavity. This thoracic cavity or thoracic chamber is an airtight chamber. So this airtight chamber, which is formed by different structures on all sides. So first of all, on dorsal side, it is formed by vertebral column, this back side. On ventral side, it is formed by sternum. On lateral sides, it is formed by ribs. So these are the ribs on lateral sides. This airtight chamber is formed by ribs, and on lower side, this is formed by a dome-shaped structure which is called as diaphragm. On lower side, this is formed by a dome-shaped structure which is called as diaphragm. Next to the volume of this airtight chamber, that means increase or decrease in the volume of airtight chamber, which alters the inner volume of the lungs. That means if the volume of thoracic cavity increases, immediately the volume of lungs also increases. If the volume of thoracic cavity decreases, the volume of lungs also decreases, which is very much useful for process of breathing. That means inhalation of air and exhalation of air. Because why this volume of thoracic cavity is influencing the volume of lungs means lungs themselves cannot increase their volume or decrease their volume. So because of this, thoracic cavity alters the volume of lungs. So this is the anatomy of human respiratory system. So by this topic, that means this human respiratory system is over. So here we have discussed different parts of the human respiratory system. Before that, I explained brief about what is respiration and what exactly going on in the respiratory process. Whenever you get that word respiration in your mind, you should remember that in the process of respiration, oxidation of food materials takes place, or breakdown. In simple words, we can remember that breakdown of glucose takes place in the presence of oxygen and releases energy, and that energy is utilized to carry out all the metabolic activities of our body. So once again, I'll repeat the parts of the human respiratory system. The first part of the human respiratory system are external nostrils. Second part, nasal chambers. Third part of the human respiratory system is nasopharynx. Fourth part, larynx. Fifth part, trachea. Sixth part, bronchi and bronchioles, and finally lungs. Lungs present in the thoracic cavity. All these structures are present in the human respiratory system. So this is the anatomy of human respiratory system. In the next class, we will discuss other topics like mechanism of respiration and what are the structures helpful in mechanism of respiration, and exchange of gases and transport of gases, and other topics which are present in this lesson. We will be discussed in the next classes. So if you get any doubts, you can ask me live in this session, or you can call to my number. I'll get it clear, whatever you'll get the doubts. Okay, thank you.
సుభాషిణి మేడం గారు. సుభాషిణి మేడం గారు.
Reddy, ma'am, can you connect? Yeah. Please turn on your video as well as audio, ma'am.
I'm here, sir.
So, dear students, till up to now, we happen to see the Subhash Reddy ma'am lesson. So now, ma'am will get connect you, and you can ask your questions. You can post your questions in the chat box of YouTube channel so that ma'am will address.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Please switch on your video, ma'am. The video switch on cheyandi. Yeah, nice, ma'am. So we have here, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, here is a question for you from the chat box. Which catalysis of Linux absence of the people who doesn't speak?
Sir, absence of? Question is
Linings.
not clear, sir.
Yeah.
Larynx.
If that is the absence, why people cannot talk?
Larynx is absent, sir.
Yes, yes.
If larynx is absent, sound will not produce, sir. Larynx is itself a sound box or a sound producing box. The larynx, which is called as voice box or sound producing box, because it consists of vocal cords. So if larynx is absent, there is no chance to produce sound. Sound will not produce, or if larynx is absent,
Yeah.
there is no chance of producing sound. I have written here one more question, sir. Students asked in the session.
Yeah,
That is,
please.
one girl asked that breath in air is cool and breath out air is hot. I explained in the when I was explaining the part that is nasal chambers. In the nasal chambers, there are three parts. First part is vestibular part, which consists of hair and sebaceous glands. They can filter the dust particles. And the second part of the nasal chambers, which is called as respiratory part, where there are three twisted bony plates called as turbinals or concave, which can humidify the air and which can conditioning the air. That means they brings the this cool air to body temperature. The respiratory part of the nasal chambers brings this cool external air to body temperature. So because of this, inhaled air is cool, but exhaled air is hot because that is converted to body temperature. So that is the answer for this question, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So, what are the common mistakes, misunderstanding of this particular topic, ma'am? Is there any misunderstanding of this topic among the students?
Maybe somewhat the topic itself, the structure of the system itself somewhat difficult, because in the 10th class it's very briefly given, but here the structure is itself complex. They feel more complex in understanding the structure of bronchi and bronchioles. Structure of bronchi and bronchioles, because first of all, bronchi divides 3 times, and again the tertiary bronchi divides 5 times. So students may feel difficulty in understanding this topic, but if they practice or if they listen 1 or 2 times and they draw the flow chart of this, they will be understand easily. If they feel difficult, I will explain this same topic in the next class also.
Yeah, ma'am, thank you. Ma'am, actually, what we request is that you can post any one of the videos related to your topic in the chat box of YouTube, so that at any time students can watch that. Or do you refer any website that a student can refer this?
Okay, sir. I'll try to post one more video, sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
certainly,
sir.
ma'am. Certainly, whenever you find time, you can post in the chat box of the YouTube of your lesson, so that anybody can watch the relevant material. And we are happy that your class went very nicely, and all the students watched your class. Subhashini Reddy, ma'am. We are really thankful from this government of Andhra Pradesh, especially Intermediate Board and KGBV, model schools and APR schools. Thank you, ma'am. We can.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay. Shall I leave, sir?
Yeah. Yes. So,
Okay, sir.
students, this is the today's 2 classes. Hope you all have enjoyed the classes. Tomorrow we'll be joining with a new class. So where, Monday we will be joining. Saturday, Sunday there will not be any telecast of classes. Thank you. Have a nice day.